Welcome. This is Thriving in Ministry. 2 years of sustained, dedicated space with peers and mentor coaches in similar settings and roles to engage in honest, focused reflection and to refine and increase our wisdom and skill in areas of leadership that are tailored to our unique situations and our own strengths and weaknesses.
Our session objectives today are 3. First of all, to walk away with an understanding of what thriving in ministry is. Secondly, what participants gain in this process of learning. And lastly, to have a walkthrough of the process of learning and practice in one of the 8 key areas of ministry development, and that is engaging with our wider communities.
Thriving in ministry is truly, completely dedicated to lifelong learning for leadership. Developing leadership is a lifelong process. We should never reach a complete plateau in our ministries. That's the space when we begin to become stagnant and gradually slip away with our skills and our capacities. We are at our best when we continue growing.
So I was working with someone after he did the Wheel of Life inventory, which asks people to rate themselves in different aspects of their life. And in reflecting on that, he noticed that he gave himself lower scores in the ministry work category. And as we explored that together, he realized it was because he had multiple commitments, several part-time jobs that he was balancing, and that he hadn't had the time for reflection and thought. So he was just reacting to everything. He remembered something that he had done in a different busy time of his life. And it was a strategy that he restarted for himself and then also shared with our peer learning group that everybody appreciated. And that strategy sounds simple, but it was that he would put something in his calendar, literally the word something, that would help him block out time. And then when people asked for that time block, he would say, I have something in my calendar. And what that did is it helped him reset. It helped give him space to manage, to be more thoughtful and reflective, and be the more effective leader that he wanted to be.
Opportunities to continue growing and developing are at their best for us when we can identify our own growing edges, to get help seeing ourselves honestly, to experiment with new possibilities, and to try on some different best practices, and then to commit to practicing and internalizing new ways of doing things in small but steady steps.
Our best learning happens when the process for learning is sustained, when it is shared, when learning and practice get specific, when we move in small steps.
Over 2 years, our participants in Thriving in Ministry dive monthly into the unique realities of their own ministry and leadership in their distinct settings, in one-on-one sessions with a mentor coach, and in shared group learning sessions with peers in similar settings, guided by mentor coaches with experience in those same settings.
As a peer learning group, but also in one-on-one sessions that followed up on building internal connections. How do you sustain a habit of connecting personally with others? And the real focus of that is the talent and the skill of learning how to do one-on-one conversations. How do I place myself in a position of listening and really hearing what is being said to me for the purpose of understanding the person who's sitting across from me and developing skills and strengths for the work that we're trying to do.
Each learner develops a few focused learning and practicing goals over the 2 years. Together with peers, each learner also dives into a way of continuous learning and practice that is applied to 8 key areas for ministry leadership development.
These 8 areas are so important to effective ministry. And it's important for us to move from naive, haphazard practice to purposeful and deliberate practice in order to improve. This helps us become as strong as possible for the sake of the communities we're serving. We continue to learn and refine these areas across our lives with fresh learning in every new setting. Thriving in Ministry is for all leaders across the lifespan of their ministry.
In each area, our mentor coaches walk with participants through tools and resources for feedback and self-assessment, playful experimentation and exploration of alternatives, best practices from different sources to try on, and a selection of a piece of the puzzle to practice and refine.
I'm working with a group of campus ministers and they're campus ministers who are not members of the faculty or staff of the university. They're outside people. So a lot of them work part-time at a parish as well as doing the campus ministry. So we talked about community engagement specifically in terms of how are they connected into the college or university that they're a part of. Well, most of them are in their first or second year. It had not even dawned on them that this was something that they might want to be doing. That they needed to be connected into the university in some formal ways. And that was true pretty much for most of the group, except one who was doing it right, left, and center. We've been there, I guess, about 3 years. But 2 months after we had that conversation, in a one-on-one session, I had a mentee who had a crisis student situation. And the aha moment hit her because she realized she didn't know anybody in the counseling center that she could talk to. And she didn't know anybody in the Dean of Students office that she could talk to about this person. And they, just as important, they don't know her. And so the light bulb went off for her. I really need to get out on this campus and start meeting the people who run this place and who do the things that have the resources that could be useful for my students, because those times are going to happen.
So let's end this introduction with an honest reflection on this. Why would I invest my time and energy in thriving in ministry? I'm tired and frazzled and stretched and maxed out already. How will this help me?
Those who are part of the Thriving in Ministry program already have chosen to be a part of it because they find this to be a process of centering themselves in the practice of ministry, and because it helps them to be more present in themselves and in their leadership.
Learning is a continuous journey. Investing your time and energy in this process puts you all in a place to become more deeply equipped servant leaders.
Think about the experience of the 70 disciples Jesus sent out. Think about how they helped each other learn as pairs as they journeyed, and all they discovered as they practiced what Jesus sent them to do.
This Thriving in Ministry process empowers leaders to ask questions, explore, and test in very direct ways. Think about how Martha was very direct in asking Jesus questions, and how Jesus opened up ways of thinking differently for Martha. Think about how the very direct conversation between the Syrophoenician woman and Jesus led to a change of perspective for Jesus.
Change and development in our leadership takes time. Nicodemus is a bit of a novice when he first visits Jesus, but he's there seeking insight. He moves from there to testing and practicing his way of leading from within his challenging community, to embodying more fully Jesus' call and stepping forward in a new way as a leader.
So after going through on my own the community engagement assessment, I realized that without knowing it, I had slipped into a really insular approach in my congregation, that I was coming out of responding to all of the pandemic issues and had really narrowed in my focus to our congregational community only. And so that community engagement assessment made me realize I need to be just out there a little bit more, looking at the community in a more broader way and through a different lens.
What I discovered, though, in re-engaging the actual rubric of a one-on-one is I still was coming in with my own preemptive kind of stake in the ground about what needed to happen and what I needed to hear to make it happen. And that shifted some of my work in some real deep ways. The ability to step into a space and be more interested in what I was listening to than in what I needed to respond with. And because of that, it's made both conversations around what's next and what's happening, as well as conversations around conflict and what's difficult, far easier to navigate.
Friends, what does it mean to you to thrive?
The definition we use in our work together is that thriving means that we are flourishing, not just floundering. We are in a flow, not just enduring.
When we're thriving, we're not in the trauma response of fight or flight or freeze. We're not seeking escape. Rather, we're energized by dedication to doing and being the things we love and feel a deep sense of purpose. Thriving means that we are confident in what we can contribute.
Join us in Thriving in Ministry and let shared wisdom, supportive encouragement, courageous vulnerability, and focused practice transform your own leadership and the community you serve.